Hello and welcome back to the lack of interesting conversation with me, your host Trey Mendenhall. Sorry, I had to fix my camera there. But as you can tell, we're back in our normal setup here in our normal studio. Um, so welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me here on episode 29, one away from 30, the big 3-0. It's incredible to be honest. But anyway, just go ahead and check out our previous episodes. I know we got 28 more others, 28 other episodes. You can go check out. It's available anywhere and everywhere you get your podcasts. You can also check out the video version of the podcast, which is exclusively exclusive home is on YouTube at the moment. Um, but just search up the podcast on YouTube. And just go make sure you subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell on YouTube as well, so you know when we go live with a new video every Wednesday. You can also follow us on Facebook. Just search up the Lack of Interesting Conversation. Follow us on there. You can also follow me on my Instagram and TikTok, both at Trey_Mendenhall. So let's get into the topic here. Thank you. And here we go. There's been quite a bit of news here uh, recently, anyway, of some sports news. So, this week, um, EA Sports for the College Football 27 video game that's getting ready to release in July. EA Sports released some more, is releasing their top tens this week for the new college football game, EA Sports College Football 27. This will be the third installment of the game since the game made its return back in 2024 with College Football 25 after more than a decade away, which is great. I love it. Personally, I've always loved the college video games more than Madden, the professional NFL games, but I feel completely different in terms of the actual product. I guess I'm more of an more of a diehard NFL guy. The Cowboys, they're my number one team, always have been, always will be. My favorite team in college is Tennessee. The reason why that is, even though I don't live there, is because as a kid in my family, we vacationed a lot in Tennessee. Uh, so I just ended up falling in love with the state. Been there actually several times with my wife, my beautiful wife. She's even fallen in love with the state, which is great. But anyway, on yes, the so here's the rundown for the entire week in terms of what they're revealing this week in terms of the top tens. Yesterday, Monday, um, was the toughest places to play. Then you had today. Um, you had the team overalls and the overall rating for the teams, both the overall uh, team rating, the overall defensive rating, the overall offensive rating. Tomorrow, you have the top offensive players. Thursday, the top defensive players. And Friday, you have the full ratings reveal, which I'm guessing is the full team reveal. Every player's rating is revealed on Friday because we're about a week out from early access beginning because I know they did something different this year. I know since the game returned, they have uh, bundled college football and Madden together in a thing they call the MVP bundle, which is what I normally end up getting because not only do I play both games, but my boys do too. So, and it's just a cheaper option, in my opinion, for me, for my family, just to get both games in one purchase. I guess I get normally get it at a cheaper rate, especially when you're in. I signed up for EA Play, I believe, which is like it's like kind of like their version of PlayStation Plus or the Xbox Gold, uh, Xbox Game Pass is what it is. So you get several. You can get if you sign up for that. I think it's like $5 a month, $40 a year. You get certain EA games that come with that. You get the for free. You're able to play that on your console, the lifetime that you have that subscription. But once you do no longer have that subscription, the you can't play those games anymore. But that's up to you. But I know with the EA Play, you get a discount, 10% discount on all new games purchases. So you just get you don't pay the outright $70. You get like pay like 62, which is about the normal price of what PS uh, 3 and PS4 games were. Then you got um, I don't know. Yes, I lost my train of thought there, but um, on there Monday they released the top 10 uh, hardest toughest stadiums to play at in college football 27. I guess with this, my one hope is that it is not as hard as it currently is in 26, and I think it was nearly impossible in 25 to get your stadium to move up in rankings in your dynasty. Because I know, like in the old games, like the old PS2, the NCAA 06, 07, 08, when your team was dominating, when you had a dominant dynasty, a dominant team in the dynasty, you um, your stadium end up crawling up and became increasingly harder to play at for visiting teams. And I know this past year in my dynasty, in my last team I went to was Notre Dame, uh, and I've won seven, no, six straight national titles there. And gosh, I think we're in the lower teens when I got there. Um, and as of right now, I think we are like the 14th hardest stadium to play at, which is insane. Because if your team is dominating, winning championships year after year, the tougher the environment should get. But anyway, but you're on the website. I know on social media they release the top 10, but on the website on the blog for um, this, they release all the top 10, 25. So we'll start from 25 and work our way up to 10. Okay. So you got 25 coming at the 25th toughest stadium to play at. You got Davis Wilson Stadium, which is Mississippi State's stadium, the Bulldogs. And you got Lavelle Edwards Stadium, BYU Stadium at 24. Carter Finley Stadium, NC State. Lane Stadium, Virginia Tech, then Doak Campbell, Florida State. Then at 20, you got Notre Dame Stadium, obviously Notre Dame. Then you got Kinnick Stadium, Iowa. Then Rice Eccles Stadium, which is Utah. Then I think making their uh, list debut is Memorial Stadium, which is Indiana. So I'm not surprised that is on there. But maybe the EA is giving Indiana fans a little bit more credit than they deserve with them coming up a national championship, but you never know. They got Williams-Brice Stadium, South Carolina, Husky Stadium, Washington, Jordan-Hare, Auburn, Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium, Texas. Then I think slipping down out of the top 10 for the first time since this game's been back is Michigan Stadium for Michigan. Then you had 11, Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium, Oklahoma. All right, there we go. Then you got here we go. We go on 10-1 now. You got Kyle Field, Tech, which is Texas A&M. I believe they were number one the first game back in 25. I'm probably wrong about that. Not 100% sure. Then you got Memorial Stadium, Clemson. Then you got the granddaddy of them all, Neyland Stadium, UT, Rocky Top, baby. Go Big Orange. At number 8, Benny Hill, Griffin Stadium, the Florida Gators. Then coming at number 6, you got Tez Stadium, Oregon. I butchered that. I knew that. You got Bryant Denny Stadium, Alabama. Stanford Stadium, Georgia. Beaver Stadium, Penn State. Ohio Stadium, the Horseshoe, Ohio State. Um, then number 1, you got Tiger Stadium, LSU, with old Lane Kiffin there. And I will look forward to going into Tiger Stadium and whooping up on LSU every chance I get this year in that game. Look forward to that very much. Then you got then today they revealed the top 10 teams, and team overalls in the game. Which you got the top team overall, the highest rated team in the game this year is Oregon. Then you got Ohio State at 2, Indiana at 3, Notre Dame 4, Texas 5, Ole Miss 6, Miami 7, LSU 8, Georgia 9, Oklahoma 10. Oklahoma getting a lot of love this year, that's for sure. Then I know they also released the top 10 offenses, top 10 defenses as well. And let me see here. The top 10 offenses in college football 27 are Ohio State number 1, Oregon 2, Indiana 3, Texas 4, Miami 5, LSU 6, Notre Dame 7, Ole Miss 8, Missouri. What? Missouri? What? Missouri is 8, 9. That is insane. Okay. Then you got Oklahoma rounding out the top 10. Then the top 10 defenses, you got Oregon at 1, Indiana 2, Notre Dame at 3, Texas Tech at 4, Georgia 5, Alabama 6, Ohio State 7, Texas 8, Oklahoma 9, LSU 10. That'd be shocking if LSU actually has an defense this year, because for the past few years under Brian Kelly, they've had a crappy, putting it nicely, defense. But overall, the lowest rated offense in the game belongs to Bowling Green. That's a 70. Then Louisiana Monroe and NIU have the lowest rated defense, both tied at 68. And then once you overall makes Louisiana Monroe, their offense is a 71 in the game. They are the lowest rated team in the game at 69. So that gives a lot of the hardcore dynasty players who like to take over a small school and build them up into a national powerhouse. Gives them a team right off the bat to take over and do their best to build them up. Then there will be actually two brand new teams this year moving up to the FBS from FCS. You got North Dakota State Bison. They were pretty much the Alabama of the FCS for years. And I know they've won several national championships there, and they're finally moving up to the big leagues, as you would say. Although I do gotta say, the Fargo Dome, which they're known for, they like to play inside a dome, is not in the game. I don't know if that will eventually be in the game, like a patched in later this year or not. But they are both rated as coming into the game as a 75 overall, as they are joining the Mountain West Conference. And they were formerly of the Missouri Valley Conference, which they won last year, went 8-0 in conference play, 12-1 overall. Ultimately losing to Illinois State in the second round of the FCS playoffs, which broke a 15-year streak of making at least the quarterfinals for the school. Then the last school, brand new school, to be in college football 27 is Sacramento State Hornets, formerly of the Big Sky Conference, coming off a 7-5 record last year. a 5-3 conference record, they would be joining the MAC. What? Yes, the Mid Athletic Conference, which is Toledo, Kent State, Ohio, Akron, Buffalo, Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, like a Midwest conference. As if you know, you've been a fan of college football for the last like 20 years, 15 years. The conference is geographically no longer, it does not matter when it comes to being in a conference. Just like the Big Ten recently adding those four West Coast schools, Washington, Oregon, USC, and UCLA. Uh, I guess with the SEC, they added Texas, Oklahoma, kind of makes sense, but really still doesn't. But this, like, I guess NIU, Northern Illinois, they were a MAC school. Now they're a Midwest, Mountain West school because Boise State, they lost. See, Boise State, um, Utah State, I think was it Mountain West school, Colorado State, and Fresno State. I think those are the four teams they lost, and they moved to the new look Pac-12, which just barely squeaks by with 8 football teams in their conference because they added Gonzaga, but Gonzaga does not have a football program to make it because you have to have 8 football programs to be an FBS conference. So if they weren't able to, that would have been interesting to see what would have happened with that. But anyway, like I said, this game you can pre-order it now. If you order the MVP Plus edition, which is why I say that comes, you get 7 days early access. So that comes out July 2nd. So if you order that, you can have up until the day before order that. You can play it then. If you just order the regular MVP bundle like I did, you get 6th. Then officially it releases July 9th on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, and for the first time ever, PC. So if you're a PC gamer, welcome to college football. But anyway, then let's move on to another topic here. In the rumor things of trades like happened in the off season. You had a blockbuster trade happen last night. Went down for Giannis Antetokounmpo, the now former Milwaukee Buck forward. He is now a member of the Miami Heat, as the Miami Heat traded Tyler Hero, Cal L. Ware, Jamie Gorquazes Jr., Caponis, Jack, I don't even know, 3 first round picks, including the number 13 pick for in tonight's draft, which the NBA draft is tonight, and 1 pick swap and a second rounder. They all trade the Miami trade all that to Milwaukee to get Giannis and Bobby Portis from the Bucks. I guess I know the Boston Celtics were also in this, as they were willing to give up Finals MVP from a couple years ago, Jaylen Brown, and the 2 first round picks up for him. But obviously, for Milwaukee, I would say they made the right choice, as they're getting how many players? 1, 2, 3, 4 players, 3 first round picks, including Miami's pick tonight, a pick swap, and a second round pick. That's definitely be hard to beat. That's just like insane. That's an insane amount of draft capital to give up. But when you get like superstars like that, like Giannis come available, that's rare. It seems nowadays. Well, I don't know how rare it is. I guess because you had really it started with the Miami Heat when it had LeBron and Chris Bosh come down there in the starting in 2010. I just remember that the LeBron decision on ESPN. They came down there and teamed up with D Wade to form the first of the era of the Big Three. They got a couple of championships out of that. I think they went to the finals every year. LeBron was down there, I believe. I know Chris Ross ended up running into some health troubles down there too, and but it worked out. I guess they ended up winning some NBA titles. You still have Eric Spoelstra, which was the head coach of the Heat during that time. Um, and he still did coach the Heat there. So you still have, I guess you still have he knows the experiences, how to deal with a superstar like the caliber of Giannis. I mean, I'm sure Milwaukee. I got a buddy who's a Bucks fan. Obviously, he even went to parade when the Milwaukee won the NBA championship a couple years ago, a few years ago. I mean, I guess I don't know how. I'm sure you're probably upset, um, kind of mad over it, but I mean, I feel like Giannis gave you everything he had. He even brought a title to your city, which you're a smaller market, which tends to not always see that kind of a superstar play for your team. Uh, but I'm sure you get all those kind of feelings. But then also, I know like the day before, I think earlier that day, they broke that the Dallas Mavericks were also hiring Michigan's head coach, Dusty May, who just led Michigan to a national title uh, in the NCAA March Madness, if you remember. Me talking about that. I did talk about that. I think I actually predicted Michigan to win in the on the lack of interesting conversation on this podcast. Um, um, shoot, group on the ESPN fantasy app. I know my son Jonah, who's been on this podcast. I know he picked him too, and I had a buddy too. Although he had some biases in his picks because he's a Michigan fan. I guess. Anyway, then you got the Mavs still trying to recover from that disastrous Luka Doncic trade where they only got one first round pick back for him, which is honestly mind blowing. And it wasn't even this year's draft, tonight's draft. They got the first round pick for it. It's in 2029, which is why Nico Harrison, the GM of the Dallas Mavericks at the time, is no longer the GM. Um, but which is it's just a horrible trade. It's kind of like when the Eagles traded for AJ Brown earlier this offseason, earlier this month. I was like, oh, we got a first round pick back for AJ. Yeah, you did, but it's not next year. It's 2 years from now. So who knows what that draft pick might be, especially when you think that the Patriots coming off a Super Bowl appearance last year, even though they've had an insane amount of distractions this offseason with their head coach. You expect them to be good, so you would imagine that pick would be later in the first round. But that's the same, I guess, the same way with the Lakers' first round pick. I don't know. That pick by that time maybe a lottery pick. To be honest, because uh, that I know with that trade they made the Mavericks bad enough where they end up getting the first round pick in the draft lottery and drafting Cooper Flag out of Duke, who came out of Duke. So you got that centerpiece you can build around, young core around, and you got a coach who was coming off a national championship in college, who may be able to shape this team up and put them on a run. Um, but I guess you never know. So it can work out great for the team. It cannot. You never know, and it can obviously ultimately will cost people their jobs. But we'll see how that goes. If I'm sure you can tune in tonight on ESPN, probably starting at 8 o'clock to watch the NBA draft. But then this broke today actually that the NFL, which I've talked about here recently with the Brendan Sorsby situation, that he ultimately left last week. It broke late Monday night that he was going to drop the lawsuit against the NCAA, uh, making himself ineligible to play for Texas Tech this fall, and then forego this season to enter the NFL supplemental draft, which was always an option. But today it broke. Let's see. It broke that the NFL, which um, has decided to not have a supplemental draft this year, which is more. They have all the power. All the power and all the right to do so, as that is actually written in the collective bargaining agreement they have with the NFLPA. Uh, but what that means, Brandon Sorsby has to wait until next April to be drafted into the NFL. And today, because of the decision, the NFL let all 32 teams know that this wouldn't happen. They had personally reached out to Sorsby. Uh, and after this news broke, Ross Dillinger of Yahoo Sports um, talked to Sorsby's lawyer, and he said this decision by the NFL, quote, is a violation of the collective bargaining agreement, and we will intend to pursue the players' rights with NFLPA. Then on X, Ian Rappaport, the NFL Network, NFL Insider, actually posted the entire letter that the NFL sent to Brendan. And it reads, Dear Mr. Sorsby, we are in receipt of your petition for special eligibility dated June 16th, 2026. But and then in here after they said quote unquote petition, as announced earlier today, the league has elected not to conduct a supplemental draft this year. Under our collective bargaining agreement, the league retains sole discretion to determine whether it is appropriate to conduct a supplemental draft in any given year. The league has not conducted such a draft for several years, and prior to your submission, the league had no plans to do so this year, as no other player sought entry. So, I guess I didn't. I guess that makes sense that he would was the only one, the only player um, that sought to be enter this. It makes sense why the NFL wouldn't do that. And I mean, you wouldn't want to just grant one player a special privilege like that. Because I know the last year that they had a supplemental draft was 2023 when Jalen Thompson, now Cowboy safety, but then coming out of college, the Arizona Cardinals placed a fifth round pick on him, which meant they forfeited their fifth round pick the following year. But back to the uh, letter, your petition uh, failed 3 business days before the deadline without any supporting information or documentation, and only after abandoning your recent litigation efforts to avoid NCAA sanctions does not provide a bias for the league to alter those plans. The issues presented by your petition are too significant and too closely tied to the league's core integrity interests to permit meaningful review within the timeline presented. The sole reasons and identified in your petition for seeking entry into the supplemental draft are that you have been declared ineligible by the NCAA and have exhausted all of your avenues to continue in the NCAA and want to now play in the NFL. The petition provides no information regarding the basis for or timing of the NCAA's decision. Public sources, however, indicate that in May 2026, um, the NCAA issued a determination declaring you permanently ineligible from participation in college athletics based on a sustained pattern of improper gambling activity during your collegiate career at 3 different universities. Remember, he started out in Indiana, transferred to Cincinnati. He was at both those schools for 2 years, then transferred this winter and then committed to Texas Tech on January 4th this year. So this would have been his 5th year because technically he was redshirted his freshman year in Indiana. The league does not have the complete record of the NCAA's investigation and you did not provide any such material with your petition. Available information nonetheless indicates that over the course of your collegiate career, you normally engage in repeated and significant violations of the NCAA's rules designed to preserve the integrity of the athletic commission. Uh, reported con, reported conduct includes placing wagers on your own team and teammates, and to avoid distinction, establishing or funding accounts in the name of the intermediaries who place bets on your behalf. There are also reports that you may have violated state criminal law. Your petition does not address these matters, and nor does it demonstrate accountability for your conduct or indicate whether or how you adhere to the league's rules and policies governing the integrity of the competition. Instead, even after receiving the notice the NCAA's decision rescinding your college eligibility in May, you sought to avoid the consequences of the demonstration through litigation rather than accepting responsibility for your actions, and you pursued entry into the NFL only after abandoning those efforts. As Commissioner Goodell has in, improvised, participation in the NFL is a privilege that carries with it significant responsibilities, including accountability. But by all accounts, you are a talented player with the potential for future success. Uh, we encourage you to focus on preparing for the possible entry into the NFL through the 2027 NFL annual draft. Sincerely, Lawrence P. Ferranzine Jr. And I know I butchered that, but that was the letter that the NFL sent to Brendan Sorsby today. That is pretty much a slap in the face, basically telling him that, calling him out, saying the only reason why you're doing this is because, um, I guess, kind of feels like it was you're in a no win situation, and with the NCAA, and after they ruled you permanently ineligible, you went to a judge, got a temporary injunction, which was going to allow you to play this year. Then the NCAA obviously was going to appeal that, and they wanted to have a answer for that before the start of the upcoming 2026 college football season. Then you had the Big 12, which the school that you were at, Texas Tech's conference, suing the school, your school, the Texas Tech University, because of this situation. And not only that, you had other teams and other conferences, including teams inside your own conference, talking about not even playing you this year, or maybe even finding a way where you couldn't even participate in your own conference championship game. Basically calling out on that, saying you were unable to accept all these uh, things that happened because of what you did, and you pretty much uh, um, didn't want to accept those as an answer, those conclusions. So you did your best to try to get out of it, and you thought maybe by joining and preparing to enter the NFL supplemental draft, you could escape it. But the NFL straight up said, nope, you're not escaping this. So Brendan Sorsby basically will not be playing football this fall unless he goes and plays in another professional league um, during this time period, which I don't know if there is another professional league going on that goes on during the summer, because I know the arena football leagues are over. The UFL's over. I believe both European leagues are almost over, at least, or they're halfway through their seasons. So he has to pretty much sit out this entire year, prepare himself, show himself ready, show himself willing, show himself prepared, show himself that the powers that be that he's changed, and so he can be a participant in next year's NFL draft. Um, I mean, I'm not when at the end of the day, it's really not that surprising. Um, it would definitely want to set maybe an ugly precedent in terms of if they let Brendan Sorsby be able to be eligible for NFL supplemental draft, and they had it this year. If another player in his situation in the future, if that happens to come around, um, would they do the same for that player? Because if you did it for him, you're going to have to do it for others. So I do applaud the NFL for honestly putting their foot down and realizing this situation um, and everything. But I guess the best thing for Brenda to do at this point is just to face it head on. And be honest, I mean, we love to kind of run away from our troubles, but that doesn't help us grow. That doesn't help us change. It doesn't help us become a better person. That can just help us, like, maybe get in the mindset of thinking, hey, I made a mistake. I run away, but I don't have to deal with it. I'm done. What are you talking about? I don't know. I don't know what you mean. But that's not the way, as honestly, that's not the way life works. That's not the way, I don't think that's the way God would want us to deal with things either. Would rather, I think, in order to move on and make the best of your life, you got to face difficult circumstances head on. Come face to face with them. Don't run and hide from them. Come face to face with them. Deal with them. Uh, Forgive yourself. Ask people for forgiveness, and even if they don't forgive you, you asked, and all you can do, the best can do is move on and live and make sure you don't repeat the same mistakes again, but also be an example to people that, hey, we can overcome this. As 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 the word says, we are more than conquerors in Christ Jesus. More than conquerors through Christ Jesus. So then the last thing I guess I want to talk about is the bring up Ross Dillinger again of Yahoo Sports, um, that the NCAA today ruled on their D1 cabinet. They unanimously voted to adopt a age-based eligibility policy uh, um, for collegiate sports, which is great. Which means with this being put in place, I believe it actually takes place this fall. Um, you won't. I think, trying to finally stop having these mid to late 20 collegiate athletes that are stayed in college for most of their uh, 20s, basically. That, and the policy pretty much, here, I'll actually read the full tweet for from Ross on X. The D1 NCAA D1 cabinet has unanimously voted to adopt the age-based eligibility policy. Sources tell Yahoo Sports a historic moment. Policies starts an athlete's clock upon one, the initial enrollment in college, or two, the start of the academic year after the 19th birthday, which occurs or whichever occurs earlier. So either, like, I guess you can either whenever you enroll in college, um, that is basically when your timetable starts to be a collegiate athlete. That's the beginning of your time. Or I guess if the academic year that you're enrolling into college starts after your 19th birthday, that's when the your uh, your collegiate clock starts. Then also, he goes on here. The NCAA releases implication and implementation details earlier this summer in a attached screenshot. Athletes who just completed their fourth season, they did not take a red shirt year, are not entitled for a fifth season. So basically, if you're started as a true freshman in whatever sport you're in, um, that counts towards your eligibility, um, for your college eligibility when it comes to sports. Something that is certain to spark a new batch of lawsuits All right, in the screenshot, student athletes whose fourth season of collegiate eligibility was completed by spring 2026. So this past spring, no additional eligibility. So if you were a senior, um, this by the spring of this year, you're done. Basically, you have exhausted all your eligibility. You are no longer eligible, and you can no longer play a college sport. Current enrolled student athletes whose eligibility remain with eligibility remaining into 2025-2026 academic year. Flexibility for schools to apply age-based model or continue for previous eligibility rules. 4 years, 4 seasons to compete with 5 total years of eligibility, whichever is most beneficial to the individual. Um, I kind of, that kind of makes me wonder if, like in college football, and that's the most, I guess that's the college sport in which I'm most familiar with how this works. You have incoming freshmen. Um, you can redshirt them, which basically gives them a year, again, extra year of being eligible because they will not see the field their freshman year. I think they can play. The last I knew, originally it was they could play 4 games and still be considered a red shirt. Then I think it got moved to 8 and 9. I don't know, something just completely out of control. Uh, but it'd be interesting to see if you don't get redshirted, can you exhaust that 5th year option? It was most beneficial to you having an extra year in college. Prospects expected to graduate from high school in spring 2027, age-based model only. Prospects expected to graduate from high school in the spring of 2026, regardless of planned enrollment date, age-based model. Um, so if you graduated this spring or you graduate next spring, it's from the sounds of it, your eligibility starts when you turn 19. Um, but I could be wrong. Prospects who graduated prior to 2026 and have not enrolled, the NCAA eligibility center will review the prospects' individual circumstances and apply the age-based model or the existing delayed enrollment and eligibility rules whenever, it, whichever is most beneficial to the individual. For schools with the current student athletes who may be eligible for hardship waivers or extensions of eligibility, the cabinet indicated that the deadline to submit any waiver requests to the NCAA is July 31st. After that, waivers would no longer be available for current student athletes or prospects. This will be interesting to see where it goes. I imagine, like you said, that there probably will be lawsuits expected. Some players trying to get more eligibility, stay in college again. Like Pete Nako's front three, said athletes whose fourth season of college eligibility was completed by spring 2026 will not receive additional eligibility. Lawsuits are expected, pretty much. Um, but it'll be interesting to see. I, for one, am kind of honestly happy about it because the thing is, I mean, you got a lot of people who are good at college football staying a lot longer than I guess their predecessors did. As I know, the NIL and transfer window portal all open a whole can of worms. But with this and with this possible Save College Sports Act from DC going forward, may actually be able to help, I guess, save, try, I guess, pump some life back into the institution of the NCAA. Maybe, I don't know, but I think this is a good start. Personally, putting an age limit on your collegiate sports in terms of coming right out of high school and still trying to get 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of eligibility to play college sports. It's just ridiculous at this point. It's ridiculous. I don't understand it because, I mean, I guess one thing is not everybody, but I know you're there to get an education. Not everybody's going to get to go to the NFL. I like top tier athletes, but eventually you're gonna have to go and get a real job, and just work and try to be the best you can be at at that job, at that profession in which you are hoping to go in. Um, you're but instead of just trying to continue to play college football and make, even though I know money definitely does play a big factor into this, but I think it's fair, and I think it's uh, honestly, I think this is the right step forward, to be honest. But we'll see. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you did, please make sure you share the podcast with your friends. Make sure you give us a like, rate us, subscribe to us, follow us, comment. Love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the top 10 toughest plays in CFP 27, CFB 27, in the top 10 overall teams, offenses and defenses. I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear if you're getting it, um, and what your feelings are about having the game back, and if you think this game was the best version of the game since we got it back. Um, but anyway, we actually see you next time on the Lack of Interesting Conversation.